Hi everyone. Well, tonight we have a topic that I guess a lot of us have heard about, experienced ourselves, and family and domestic violence. And I have with me Sherynne Smith tonight, who's brave enough to tell her story and share with us, you know, some of the heartache that she's experienced and also some of the positives as an end result. So, Sherynne.
Kelly.
We are. We're good friends.
We are good friends.
Well, we all know what we're going to talk about. It's as raw as that, and that's what it's all about. It's no use beating around the bush, because this is why we're here, in the hope that perhaps someone that is sitting there now looking at their computer or looking at their phone or their iPad, that they actually relate to this situation themselves, and perhaps that they've done nothing about it. You know, it could be a number of reasons. You know, it could be fear, and you know, I too have been through it myself, so I do know exactly how those sort of feelings vary and what happens to you, and everyone reacts differently to certain situations. And this is not about putting a cure out there or having the eternal answer for you. It's just about a few coping skills and maybe some self-care, as Sherynne was saying, like with her little Ted here.
Rainbow Rui.
Rainbow Rui. Now, and Sherynne could have something called Rainbow Rui, but Rui being your nickname, right?
Yeah, Dad gave that to me when I was a kid. Yeah.
So, all right, so with Rainbow Rui, where did he come from?
Well, Rainbow Rui, I actually bought Rainbow Rui recently, but originally when I went and did the Heal for Life program last year, which is for childhood victims of trauma, we had an inner child event and a party, and we all got to choose a toy, and I found this beautiful little white teddy bear which is on my bed, and it has coloured paws, and my nickname was Rui. And one of the things that I've been manifesting and attracting into my life is rainbows. So, and a lot of people say I'm very colourful. So I just decided to go with Rainbow Rui. So I have two versions of Rainbow Rui. As you can see, this one's very rainbow. And it's actually a little comforter because it has a wheat bag in it. And you can freeze it.
And heat it up.
Yeah, or you can heat it up.
What a great idea that is.
Yeah, so Rainbow Rui is coming to hospital with me tomorrow to have one of my injuries from domestic violence fixed.
So, okay. Well, we'll get onto that, but I guess now we've jumped in there. But so tomorrow you're off to have a hip replacement?
Yes, I'm having a Co-Rail total hip implant system.
Wow,
so,
forgive me for not having the correct title there.
Yeah, well, originally it was going to be a total hip replacement, but because of my age and the nature of my injury, my saviour surgeon has decided to go with a different system, and it's an implant system which at 25 years has a 96.3% success rate. So I'm going to be 80 years old and still have a fully functioning right hip, which is fantastic.
Don't worry about the rest of her body, but the hip will be fantastic, right? I just see you there with this great hip, everything else is gone, you know. And anyway, we try to have a bit of a giggle on this show too.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, sometimes that's been my way of getting through a lot of this sort of stuff too, is just to not laugh it off, but find somewhere, a place in life where you can actually have a bit of a giggle, because it's such great therapy, and I guess that's my
self-care.
Life is the best medicine. Absolutely,
isn't it?
yeah.
So
I guess we'll. Anyone joined us over there, Miss Producer, Tiana? Okay, we've got Deepwater Inn. Hey guys, up there at the Deepwater Inn.
Hi everyone.
Such a great place to go. We've got Stella Patiniotis. Hi Stella, I went to school with Stella since I think it was kindergarten at Adamstown Infant School. And we've got Louise Melrose. Hi Lou, how are you? And Zenon. Nice to have a guy on board having a little look at this, but and I'm sure we'll tell your story in time too. And we've got Leanne Rugg. Oh, good on you, my darling, and happy birthday, Leanne. I know I missed it.
Happy birthday, Leanne.
Yeah, I did miss it, but, you know, things happen, I'm busy, and it's not because I didn't want to go. So, okay, so let's look at the real here. And this is about being raw, real, and getting the whole thing out there. So let's look back at where did it all begin? Where was your first situation, your first memory, the first situation where it happened. Tell me the story on how it happened, the beginning.
Well, Mum and Dad had to get married because they were pregnant with me, and I was unwanted, particularly by my mum and her side of the family. And I guess the first instance was in the womb because I was under so much stress. And, you know, my mum was given a really hard time because we're talking 1961 when they fell pregnant with me, when Mum fell pregnant with me. And the community was really intolerant. And so Mum had a really hard time, which is really sad. And Dad had a hard time as well. But for me, the stress in the womb, with Mum experiencing such a tough time, caused issues for me that actually meant that when I was born, my legs were dislocated from my body. And chiropractic care shows that that kind of thing happens to babies because they're under great stress in the womb. And then it just went from there.
Was it that your mother... now, I just find that really hard to believe she didn't want me. So was that she was not ready to have a family yet? Is that what you're trying to say? Or that she didn't want to have any children ever?
Oh, no, I don't think it was that Mum didn't want to have any children ever. It was just that in those days when a girl fell pregnant... And, you know, and Mum and Dad got married, Dad stuck by us and, you know, Dad did everything that he could to try to give us a happy home life and everything. But, you know, Mum copped a really hard time and of course, who would want that, you know, like nobody would want to be mistreated and to be seen as being a bad person. And I don't believe that she was. I don't believe that she and Dad were bad because they loved each other and fell pregnant with me. It was just those...
How old was your mum then?
She was in her 20s, yeah, both of them were in their 20s, and so, you know, they weren't teenagers, but even so, it was really hard, and I guess she didn't want an illegitimate child, and basically that's what I was. I was conceived out of wedlock, and Mum's side of the family are born-again Christian, and they have some very strong, fundamental, negative belief systems. And so, yeah, so, you know, and I never would have wanted that for my mum. And I'm sure she probably deep down didn't want what has happened for me either, but, you know, and I'm pretty certain that, you know, there's been intergenerational abuse, particularly on that side of her family, because some of my aunts and uncles were incredibly abusive to me, and whereas they weren't so with other children who hadn't been conceived out of wedlock.
Okay, so you're saying that you believe that was because of that situation, that you were treated the way you were. So it happened from the very beginning, from the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. Not so much on my dad's side, but definitely on my mum's side of the family. My nana on my dad's side and different people on my dad's side really nurtured me and did everything that they could to help me feel loved and wanted and everything. And then, you know, it was just the complete opposite end of the spectrum on Mum's side of the family. And Mum wasn't she's not a particularly confident person, and I guess she didn't have the assertiveness skills to be able to say, get stuffed. Which is like what I would do.
Well, you wouldn't say that back then, but you'd say it today. I mean, you'd say, some people would say a lot worse than that. Well, I look at that being a lot worse, but they look at it as being far more expressive and fresh. You know, is that the word, fresh? Anyway, so how many brothers and sisters have you got?
I've got 2 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters.
So that was after your mum and dad got married?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you believe that they were treated differently than you?
Some were and some weren't. All of my siblings have experienced some form of domestic and family violence in their life, and
from your parent, your mother, or
yeah, mum
from
and
other people
in the family on mum's side of the family.
So that family unit,
yeah,
okay.
And situations. You know, there was child sexual assault and a lot of bigotry and neglect, and we were shunned. We were all shunned. I can remember when we would go to Katoomba to visit an aunt, one of Mum's sisters, and we would be made to sit in the car in the driveway while they had tea and cake. And if we made a noise, we would get into big trouble for that. And that was
How
all
long
of
were you in
us.
the car for?
At times hours. Yep.
And so what happened to you should you have done? Like, what would have happened to you if you had got out of the car?
Oh, we didn't get out of the car. We knew not to get out of the car. We would have got a belting. And often, and I've watched my siblings where I was the first one over the back table to be flogged, and then my brother, and then my two little sisters. And one of my sisters, I used to be horrified because she was the fourth one and she was the smallest, and it was absolutely terrorising. So yeah, it's been...
So when you say flogged, like flogged with what? Excuse me, for
feather,
all the...
Yeah, feather duster.
Yeah.
We would have our pants pulled down, bent over the table and flogged with a feather duster.
So you obviously grew up knowing or thinking that that was a normal situation.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I was told that I was ugly and stupid and that I was going to grow up and be a slut, and that I was born of sin and wicked, evil, all sorts of things. So I have spent a long time with a very low self-esteem, and I learned some really poor relationship skills, including parenting skills as
I guess
well.
you didn't really have someone that you could look up to and at least, you know, give you those important skills and loving and caring situation. But you, I believe you got that from your father.
Yeah, and from Nanny and from some other people as well. You know, I was blessed in that way, and there were a couple of people on Mum's side of the family who strive to be really nice to all of us kids and to help us out and to make life a bit easier for us. And then, you know, there were different things that I used to do to try and protect my brothers and sisters and stuff as well. So, yeah, I've been fortunate in that there has always been somebody that has loved me, and that I've been able to be affectionate towards and love back as well. So that's been really good.
And thank you, Lisa Dixon and Amber Jane Sterling, Vicky Taylor, Lyndall Dixon, and Frank Day. Uncle Frank, he's just got out of hospital. He's had a major operation.
Oh,
So hi, Uncle
I feel
Frank.
for you.
Hope you're feeling better. Yeah. So okay. So we're at that stage where you're. I mean, you did have some beauty in your life with your father. I know that you really admired him, and he was a very loving, friendly person. He worked on the railway, and I remember going and visiting the old house and having a look around there. So when it progressed from there, and what physically happened? Like, how did it happen from there? Like, okay, if you did anything wrong, it was the feather duster and it was all that sort of thing.
Oh, I've had more than that. I've been hit across the face, and I've witnessed my brother being punched in the face. And
By whom?
By our mother, and then I've also I've been picked up by my hair off the floor and shaken by the roots of my hair and had my hair ripped out. And one particular occurrence of that was when I had rolls in my hair, and I think it was for my first Holy Communion. And I've got squaw hair. You can't even curl my hair. So, you know, you put a curler in, it just falls out. As you know, Kelly, you know, so, yeah, very young
You're not
age.
like mine. You know, like, hey,
Yeah, from a very young age, you know, we were always vigilant and just trying to, you know, keep the peace and behave ourselves, and never knowing when we were going to get into trouble. We'd only have to look sideways at each other or whisper at each other in the church, and we'd get a flogging when we got home. And
so it was
like
all
that.
of you. No one was really treated any differently. It was just the whole...
There was differences in the treatment, like, you know, my sisters, they went to a different high school and they were a few years younger than me, and, you know, they got to shave their legs and pluck their eyebrows and things like that.
Well, I'm horrified. I wouldn't have thought that would have been alled. My home economics teacher used to chase me around and want to cut my fingernails.
Yeah, but I wasn't, and, you know, I was meant to wear clothes to school that were too big for me. And in the winter time, when I had bruises up the back of my legs in the Blue Mountains in Katoomba, it's very cold, and I was made to wear short socks and shoes in my summer uniform, and that was to humiliate me. So, you know, there's been and this is the thing with domestic and family violence and abuse, and with the awareness program and campaign that I've been working on in the last couple of years. I want people to see that it's not just about being hit, it's manipulation, it's humiliation, it's control, it's, you know, the put downs and the neglect and being left in the car. And, you know, and there were times when, you know, when Mum and Dad went to the club and they both left us in the car. You wouldn't do that today, and I'm glad that it's not allowed today, you know, because it's not a good thing for kids to do. And sometimes, you know, us kids used to fight, and it was just because life at home was really tough.
And I guess you were lucky that, you know, you had each other. Were you very close as siblings?
I don't think so. Like, we've had our moments, but, you know, these days, after being speaker for the White Ribbon Breakfast last year on the 25th of November,
which was fantastic, by the way. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, you were there with me.
Yeah.
That's right. You were my support person. And, you know, that day was my cousin Wayne's funeral. And my cousin suffered domestic and family violence and had a terrible time after their dad died. And that's a whole different story. And I took my flowers to his funeral, and I said to my sisters that day, I hadn't seen them for quite some time. I'd seen one of them at our uncle's funeral 2 weeks previous, but our relationships were really strained, and I said to them, "Oh, you're my sister, I love you. Even if you never talk to me again, come out into the world and have a happy life and know your sister loves you." And well, they just, you know, bawled like I was.
As you would.
Yeah, and ever since then, I've been able to reunite with my siblings, and so I get to talk to both of my brothers and both of my sisters, and I'm determined to never let anything ever come between all of us again. I'm the oldest, and I think if the change is going to happen, it's going to start with me, and I'm learning some new relationship skills in all areas of my life, including parenting, but especially at the moment with my siblings. I love them dearly, and I want the best for them, and I'll do whatever I can to help that happen.
So we touched on, I know there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about, and we might go over 5 minutes because they are important to me and to you. So you're going to hospital tomorrow to have the hip. Is a result of years of abuse from a husband, or...?
It was actually an accident that was set up in our marital home over 4 years ago, where I was called from one end of the house, and there was lino, there was carpet, and then lino, and then carpet, and there was a huge pool of water on the lino, and when I hit the lino, my feet went out from under me, and I flew into the base of a windowsill. This leg went out from underneath me and went that way, and this foot I slid into the bottom of the windowsill. My left foot was broken and my hip was damaged as well, and an hour later my husband dragged me up off the floor, and an hour later made me put my steel cap boots on and go and do a delivery to Mount Arthur Cole, which was a 2.5 hour drive. And he sat on the lounge and watched television, and he wouldn't let me go and get medical help, and so I hobbled around for months, and I didn't realise the extent of my hip issue at the time because I was walking on a broken foot. It was green and black and swollen, and having to wear steel cap boots several times a day, several days a week, meant that I was just doing everything that I could to actually survive. There was a lot of other abuse that was going on at the time.
So your husband, you married him and you lived through a lot of abuse with him.
Yeah, we got married in the August, and the following January he turned on me on one Saturday morning, and that day, 5 hours later, my back slid down the wall, and I just thought, what the bleep happened to my life? And he made my life an absolute living hell. At one point he had me working 5 different jobs. I was working 18 to 20 hours a day. I was meant to have sex with him with injuries. He was emotionally abusive as well, and that got really
As
bad.
physical?
Oh, yeah, he hurt me physically a couple of times. He bit me once and then pretended that it was an accident. He had me cornered in the kitchen another time and was very, that was a very frightening experience. I was cutting up fruit salad at the time, and that was just,
Why didn't you use a knife on him? Oh, no, I don't advocate that sort of thing at all. No. I do not advocate that. Like, no. It's just a horrible, horrible, horrible situation for anyone to be in. And, I think if nothing else, if you are sitting there and you've gone through it, or you think you might have, because a lot of the times you are physically living through it, but you keep telling yourself, oh, no, it's not that bad. He's just in a bad mood, or she's just in a bad mood. But, 9 times out of 10, it's a continual thing. Go and get some help. Go and get some help. So from the situation that you've lived through, and we always talk about, what was the positive that you wanted to share with everyone out there? Because out of all that negative, there's got to be some positive somewhere.
Yeah, well, I was taken in by Carrie's Place because I ended up homeless, unemployed, locked out of my bank accounts.
So that's a refuge for
women? Yeah. So I was taken into their Women and Children's Refuge in Maitland, and they helped to rehome me 3 times, which was really good.
Why 3 times?
The first place was temporary. The second place was medium term, with a view to getting me into a safe house where most people don't know my address. And that was with the support of victim services and family and community services and housing and Centrelink and a whole lot of other interagency organisations. And I did the Inner Strengths program, which is a program that Carrie's Place actually have. And I got to learn about the difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships. And I didn't realise until that time that all of the stuff that had happened to me and my siblings and my cousins and my dad and, even my mum and other people and my children as well, I didn't know that it was domestic and family violence and abuse. And it's not just about hitting, as I said earlier. So I got to learn that, and I've been able to become an advocate and to be able to speak out for those who are unable to speak for themselves or who are no longer with us as a result of domestic and family violence. We all know the statistics for how many people are killed each year. And then now I'm also a governance committee member for Carrie's Place Domestic Violence and Homelessness Service.
So I'm out there, this has been happening to me, and maybe after time I think, no, this just can't be a coincidence, or he can't just be angry, or she can't be angry, or what would be the first thing that I should do? What would I do?
If you're in danger, ring 000, ring the police. The police are all over domestic and family violence. They will drop everything else and come to your aid. I know that because they've actually done it for me. And then the other thing is that if you are injured, you need to get an ambulance, and the ambulance will actually get you to hospital, and they will get the police and all of that involved as well. Otherwise, you can ring any of the domestic and family violence services, and they're all over Australia. In the Hunter, you can contact Hunter Women's Centre, or you can contact Carrie's Place. You can contact Jenny's Place.
C-A-R-R-I-E-S?
Yes, it is.
So Carrie's Place, C-A-R-R-I-E-S.
Yeah. And then there's also, you can contact Family and Community Services, linked to home. They can provide emergency accommodation, and there's so many resources out there. It's just incredibly amazing, and I'm blessed because I know what they are now, but I didn't know what they were before. And when you're in danger and you're sleep deprived and overworked and abused, sometimes you just don't know where to turn or who to actually ask. But the other thing that you can do is you can go to your GP. I've had a lot of support from my GP, and your GP can actually help to link you in to the services that you may not actually be able to think about for yourself in those serious times of stress.
Now, I mean, that's all really valuable information. And hopefully, you know, I mean, if one person is out there and one person has been assisted by this little bit of information and it's made a difference to their day, to their life or anyone else's life, well, then we have been successful. And that's all I'm asking for is, you know, people go and get help, help each other, check up on each other, you know, chill out, look after each other. Now, one thing that I did want to say, out of this, you wrote a song.
I did, Bleeding on the Inside.
That's it, and I love the title. So, with that recording, you actually sell that DVD, that CD.
Yes.
And the money made from that goes back to Carrie's Place.
Yep.
And that's how you've been able to say thank you.
Yes. And I'm also working on the All Sorts fundraiser, Carrie's Place All Sorts fundraiser.
So all sorts, as in licorice all sorts?
Yeah, as in licorice all sorts.
Yeah, we love that.
But I guess, you know, it's a play on words because all sorts of people experience from all sorts of backgrounds, and we're talking men, women and children here, and, you know, they come from all sorts of backgrounds, they experience all sorts of domestic and family violence and abuse, yet there's all sorts of people out there that actually want to help as well. So
I get it now, the all sorts.
Yeah, the all sorts.
Very clever,
Yeah.
very clever.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to buy the CD,
Yes.
they go to Carrie's Place, to their website. Is that where they get it from? Or
Not at this point, but I'm sure we could organise that at some stage. Sorry, team. I know you're all busy at the moment.
Okay, so if someone... we're going to put a little snippet on there because, I mean, we don't want to put it all on just in case someone likes it far too much and they want to download it or whatever you say. You know, I'm not really savvy with all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the idea is so you can get a little bit of a taste of it, love it, and want to get a copy.
Yeah.
And knowing that all the money goes back to Carrie's Place, which is an organisation that helps many, many, many women. And has helped Sherynne.
And children. And men.
Children. And men.
They have a men's homelessness service as well.
Oh, there you go.
Which
like,
is separate, but they do.
Well, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah, they help everyone. All sorts of people.
Yeah, all sorts. Good play there. Great marketing. So, we've got Ellen. Hi, Ellen. Oh, Rick. Hi, Rick. How you going? And Dorian Sumter. That's my brother-in-law. Bless you, Dorian. Thanks for tuning in. So, we've got a couple of minutes, have we not? We've got a couple of minutes. So, with that couple of minutes, really want to make it count.
Sure.
So, what I want you to do is, I want you to look down at that camera right there.
Yeah.
And I want you to share a message with others who have gone through the same thing, know of someone, perhaps have heard something or seen something, know of someone dealing with this, but I want you to give a heart-filled message to my viewers out there.
Okay. Nobody deserves domestic and family violence and abuse, and it hurts everyone. Absolutely everyone. So if you're aware of it, please tell someone, get some help. Like I said, go to your GP, ring the police or the ambulance, go to housing, tell your boss, call your best friend, and keep telling people until someone listens, because it hurts everyone. When I get hurt, it hurts my family, it hurts my children, it hurts my friends, it hurts my community. And I'm sure that there are people out there tonight that are listening to our interview here who are hurting, and this may have triggered stuff for some of you, and the triggering hurts as well, I know, because I experience it. So just know that no one deserves it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm rebuilding my life. It will never be the same. However, I have a lot of love and laughter and rainbows in my life every day. And I fake it till I make it. And that's why I'm called a rainbow warrior, because sometimes you just have to keep faking it until you make it. But believe me, no one deserves it, and you can get help. So please, reach out.
Remember my words. You know what? Never give up. Don't ever give up. Know that you can do it. You can do it. Go and get help. Talk to someone. Share the problem and get help. Okay, tonight I say good night to everyone, and a special heartfelt message goes to my beautiful family. My daughter Paris and her husband Damo, and Damo's family are experiencing a death in our family with a car accident that happened suddenly a couple of nights ago. So Mike Morell, we honour you as a human being that lived on this earth and gave such greatness and love and care to my beautiful daughter Paris. Thank you, Uncle Mike, for being you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Isaac family, and I hope that, you know, everything goes well. Thanks, everyone. Good night. We love you. We can't wait till next week. Bye-bye.